Welcome to the 4th devlog of this corn game that I've been working on. I have made a bit of progress for the month of April, and that's what this whole video is about, so let's just dive right into it, shall we? Starting off for this game, I decided, you know what, I should probably change up the UI because that's what I was talking about in the last video at the very end. So what I ended up doing was, basically it was all up in the corner before, you know, we don't want that, it was all up in the corner, bleh. So what I ended up doing, I put it down at the bottom of the screen, I made it look nicer, and I added in the element icon instead of just having a purple square there. So it just looks a lot nicer than it did before, and when you interact with the upgrade tables, I updated the icon in there as well. So now when you go into that, it's just like, okay, cool. Now I actually can see it's not just a purple square, but it's got the element icon, and it's just better for the game overall. Next up, I decided, you know what? Let's do some updates to the main part of the environment for this game, which is the corn and the soil. So basically, I updated the model, created a brand new model for brand new corn stalk with new corn models on there and husk leaves coming out. And then I also updated the soil, so it's actually a model now, and it looks really great. And that was what I ended up doing next. Following up on that, I'm like, all right, I've already started on the soil here, now let's make it modular. Before it was just like individual like tiles, now it's fully modular, it all goes together, and it's overall just really great. After updating all those models, I'm like, all right, I guess I could try something else as well here. So then I was like, let's look at the enemy here. Let's take a little look at the enemy and see how can I update the model to better fit with the new simplistic type of style that I'm going for. And so with that, I combined the corn stalk and the corns coming off of that. I used that all of those different models to create a new smaller looking corn creature enemy. And with that, I made it so it doesn't just shoot corn out of nothing, but instead it has its mouth be like a corn cob shooter, and as it follows you and it starts shooting at you, it ejects it out of its mouth instantly, and then that's how it shoots at you instead of just, oh, corn's just being shot at you out of nowhere, which I would have to say is a very nice change. Next up, more in depth with the enemy, I was like, all right, let's dive into the code of this here. And before I had it, there were different drops. You kill an enemy, it does a random number generator. Depending on what that number is, the higher the number, the more drops you get. So basically, if you get, say, a 10 out of 100, then guess what? You get the lowest drop, and that's all you get. But if you get like a 50, then you get the top 2 drops. And if you get 100, for example, then you get all 3 of the drops just when you kill that one. And what I decided to do was to change it up, and basically, if you get the highest drop, you just get the highest item reward. You only get 1 drop per death of an enemy. So you don't get all 3 anymore, or 2, or whatever it would have been before, but now it's just 1, and it's the best item. Next up, I decided to do something which may or may not be the best use of time, and took probably the longest time for this whole month, which was, well, for one, I fixed the bug with the element where after you would cleanse the soil, it wouldn't pop up sometimes, or something along the lines of that was happening, or it was bugging out. So I fixed that, which is great. And then I made it so that the soil, once you cleanse it, after a period of time, recontaminates itself, basically gets recorrupted, so that you can then cleanse it again and get more of the element. I don't know if I'm going to keep this in the final game, but that's what I did. There you have it. So the bug that was actually happening with the element after cleansing the soil was sometimes it wouldn't even show up, and then when it would show up, it a lot of times would just bug out like crazy, and it would just create an infinite amount of the crystals. So it's like, okay, it's just infinitely spawning them. I mean, there's thousands of crystals in one spot, and it just destroys the game, not how it's supposed to be. And I just thought that was funny, so you could just see that see how that was working before on screen. Next up, I was like, all right, let's take a look at the overall environment of the world. Okay, I was like, I need to start doing more with this, actually creating something bigger and better, and that's what I started to do. And you can see there's a barn in the distance, you have the main farmhouse, and then there's a big area with just a ton of, like, a massive cornfield basically. And what's cool about this is, as you can see on screen, it's just an entire swarm, an entire army of these little corn creatures coming out, absolutely destroying the frame rate of the game, making it lag like crazy. And I just thought it was so funny. I just had to keep this in, and it's also there just to show you what I had worked on for the environment and just how it was looking overall. And then wanting to fix the issue of just having an unlimited amount of these corn creatures spawning like crazy, I wanted to really focus on the spawn logic of these corn creatures. So what I basically wanted to do is put it into an object pool, and that's what I did. So now there's different requirements as well for the enemy to spawn. So first off, you have to be within a certain radius of the plot of land for the enemy to spawn. So it's like you have to be within like 10 meters in order for the enemy to start growing. And if you walk away, it saves that progress, but it doesn't grow anymore until you're within that range. And then once it spawns in, if there's no enemies that have been created previously, then it creates a new enemy, and that's what you're fighting. And then once you destroy it, it doesn't delete the object like it did before, but it just deactivates it. So then when another enemy spawns, it just basically reactivates that enemy, resets all the stats, and so that way you're not destroying a bazillion enemies throughout the runtime of the game. It's just a good optimization for the future of this game, and just having it being an object pool. Now it's just deactivating, reactivating, and at most I think I have it set to like 10 enemies are really allowed to be there at once, like spawned in at one time. If there's more than 10 enemies, as for the example here, it doesn't create anymore. So now, instead of worrying about, okay, I bought off 100 enemies, oh no, now my game's starting to lag slightly because of all the clutter that's created with each enemy. Now, you just have a max of 10. Overall, huge optimizations there, and just real big progress in terms of the logic for how enemies spawn in the first place, which I think was just very vital, very needed, and I'm very happy with how I was able to get that to turn out. Lastly here, big overall update to the whole game, which was I've created a system to where now there is this big magical looking portal thing in the middle of the cornfield, and you can go up, interact with it. Each time you interact with it, it uses one of the crystals, and then once it activates, boom, it's that rift effect that was there from the beginning, from devlog 1. I was like, all right, I think I want to do something really kind of like more sci-fi-esque or more alien-esque, because this element in this game here that you're collecting and using to like get upgrades and stuff, you're using that to open up basically this portal. But where does this portal lead? That's the secret for now. But as for now, you can see I just added on in a way to activate this portal and basically set up like a temporary like end game here. And then in addition to that, the other massive thing that I did was I completely decided to like update the shooting of the game and like taking damage of the game. So now whenever you shoot, there's actually a little bit of feedback to that. And not only that, the entire weapon is just brand new corn gun now. Yes, it's a lot less detailed. It's way more in line with the new, more type of simplistic style that I'm going for, but I think it looks really great. And guess what? You shoot, it ejects the corn cob, and then it regrows as the animation. It looks great, and as you shoot, there's a little bit of feedback where the character's like head like bobs up, like there's recoil to it. And then what's also cool is when you get shot at by the enemies, it shakes the screen a little bit and adds more of that feedback, which has been very missing from this game and has been very necessary. And I'm finally glad I was able to add it into this game for this month, and I couldn't think of a better way to end off the month with such incredible progress. Honestly, the overall just way that the game feels is just way better now because of it. So yeah, that's basically about it for April's progress. Not a ton of stuff down here, but decent enough for the size of my devlogs lately. But I want to get a lot more done, and that's where next month's devlog is really going to come into hand. And I think there's going to be a lot more that is going to be talking about and revamped and changed for next month. That, oh boy, let's just say the month of May, this devlog for May is going to be quite insane. But until then, I just want to say thank you again so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe down below. I just want to say, deep down, I truly am so grateful that you decided to watch this far and just check out this video and see what I've been working on. It means the world to me. If you wanted to go even further, which I don't want you to feel like you need to at all, because just watching is, meaningful enough to me. But if you want to help with the funding of this game and just support me and the progress that I've been making, then you can go down below. I'll leave a link, and there's this Ko-fi page, which is basically a competitor to Patreon. It's like Patreon, but they take less money. So it's like if you're wanting to actually support, you're actually able to support quite a bit more, because they take a lot less of a percentage. That's basically the main difference, I would say, between Patreon and Ko-fi. But if you want to check it out, I have my page down below. Like I said, don't feel like you have to. If you want to, it's greatly appreciated. Regardless, I appreciate you so much for watching this video. I just wanted to say thank you. I'll see you in the next one. God bless.